Good morning, everybody. This is Stone with Onk Homestead. Sorry, a little distracted. A few thoughts this morning. I want to share with you over morning coffee. It's a little chilly this morning. Winter. What is this? December 14th. Winter has finally decided to arrive. There's a sleet like snow coming in sideways from the north. That's always fun because it makes outdoor chores just a pain in the butt and eliminates a lot of them, which it's good for a day of rest, but it's bad because that means twice as many chores the next time the weather cooperates. But hey, that's part of homesteading, being ready for weather changes. Sitting here this morning and I'm watching this weather, and the dogs need to go out, and boy, they're not wasting any time. They want to get right back inside. Watching the stock move through the pasture, and it got me to thinking. There's something. It's been on everybody's mind for a long time now, and there's a lot of conversation and discussion about health. Well, health is critical when you're homesteading. And I'm not talking about being super fit and everything is perfect. And, if your entire drive is being healthy at a peak or an optimum level, you're not going to have time to effectively homestead, in my opinion. And you're going to avoid doing a lot of things that homesteaders do, because the homesteaders that I know and I try to emulate, they're homesteaders from, like, the turn of the century, 1901 homesteaders. They're generally pretty healthy people, but more than that, they're mentally and physically tough. Back in those homestead days, you couldn't hook a buggy or a litter up to your horse, or even throw a saddle on it and ride half a day to go see the doctor because you had a sniffle, like I do. Or you go outside on a day like this and you're slinging hay and you hit that icy spot and your leg twists. Back then, an accident like that could be deadly, especially in the wintertime. But they didn't have that access. But not only did they not have that access, they didn't think that way. They had solutions and remedies for the basic health issues that they were going to face. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about that. Being aware of health on the homestead. The first thing I'm going to suggest is have a baseline for your health. Before you get out here and you are trying to make it off of the land, you're gardening, you're building animal structures, you're chasing horses, butchering stock, throwing hay bales, roofing a cabin, whatever it is that you're going to do out here on your homestead, you got to be aware that you can't just jump off of whatever it is you're doing and run down into town to see the doctor or over to the hospital. And not only that, excuse me, but a lot of people that are homesteading today don't have the financial resources for those type of convenient care. Um, Holy cow! From my place to the nearest hospital, an ambulance ride is $1,800, and well, that was a few years ago. I am almost afraid to think of what it is now. So you need to be prepared. First thing to do is have uh, a very good first aid kit. Uh, have all the basics covered. You know, your bandages, your antibiotics, your uh, salves, aspirin, sling, finger splints, the eye wash. Have your basics uh, and make sure that they stay refreshed because first aid kits aren't. You can't buy the fancy little box and put it under your kitchen sink and 10 years from now expect everything in there to be in medically acceptable condition. Just like the food in your pantry, you need to rotate, you need to check your stock. But beyond that, uh, you need to be healthy in this lifestyle. And I'm not talking about, you know, doing Pilates or yoga and eating a strict vegetarian based diet and uh, you know I'm not talking about all of that. And if you're invested in all of that, that's wonderful. But if you are a homesteader within, say, the first 5 years of your homestead, and that is your laser focus, you're not going to have time to do the things that you need to do to have an efficient, self sufficient homestead. So you need to have a good baseline of health to start with. Even more than that, uh, the homesteaders back in the day, they weren't all necessarily profiles of biological perfection, but they were tough. Um, my kids have been horrified more than once when, dad broke a finger working on a piece of equipment or slinging a fence post or something and snapped it back into place, taped something to it that was nearby and kept going and got the job done. Um, I've been very lucky with that. Things haven't gone sideways for simple things like that. But you need to be prepared for that. And you need to be aware. So have a good base first aid kit. And then you want to extend that into the homestead lifestyle. You can't afford to just run off to the doctor every time something goes wrong or your homestead is being neglected. Be aware of what your health issues are before you start. I rely a lot on herbs and spices that I use in my foods, along with the kind of foods that I eat. I rely a lot on various teas for their not only their health benefits but their healing benefits. Uh, an exercise regimen. If you have a lazy homestead where you have a minimal garden and a waist high raised platform that's just enough for you to have a salad now and then, and some chickens that you chase around the yard. I would call that a lazy homestead because it doesn't require the the expense of energy or the expenditure of energy. So you need to be aware of what your baseline health is and take measures to deal with any issues before you get out here and get started. The other thing relative to health that really sticks with me is your animals, your stock. Learn up, learn up. Thanks, Grandpa. Study and learn about animal health, whether it's chickens, pigs, cows, horses, whatever it is. You need to know what you're going to do with those animals so you can direct their health in that direction, but you also need to know what their general health baseline is, what to look for, how to deal with it on the homestead. Vet visits may not cost as much as a doctor, but they're still not cheap. And if you're going homesteading because you can't afford a lifestyle that mainstream society promotes, you're certainly not going to be able to afford a vet constantly. So you need to learn some baseline things, what to watch for and how to care for it. There's some great books out there on it. You know, Story Publishing that does Countryside and Small Stock Journal. They publish some great books. But my number one resource, not only for your own health, but for your stock, is networking. Find out who is doing what in your area and talk to them. Whether it's an herbalist, I know some great ones. They are my go-to. Get to know a veterinarian or a vet tech in your area and talk to the other people in the area that have been running stock for a long time. They'll know tips and tricks that will save you a lot of not just money but headaches. And when you boil right down to it, remember that these animals, they have a basic biology. So do we. We're animals. You can laugh or you can disagree, but the bottom line is we're animals. We are a species of mammal. Why would you not give your animals the level of care in their environment that equates to the level of care that you want for yourself? So, as Grandpa says, learn up. Get all the information you can, absorb it, and be prepared. Okay? Things happen, and you want to be ready for them when they happen. You don't want to compound an injury and an illness and another injury and let it slide just because the roads are crappy. You want to bite each one in the butt as soon as it shows up. So, that's my morning thought. Enjoy your coffee. I'm going to get started, get a few things done, and we'll see you shortly. Take care.